What's up, guys? It's Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to PXA PXAT Reflex Arena. So this is going to be a little bit of a different video than the ones I've made before, and, well, I'm interested to see how this experiment goes. So, yeah, this is a hardcore competitive online first-person shooter. It came out in early access in 2014, and it actually just went final release a few days ago. And the developer's PR contacted me with a review code for it. But I looked in my Steam library, and it turns out I already had it. I don't remember where I got it, probably from a bundle or something. So I wrote back and went, hey, actually I've already got this, but I'm still going to cover it. What do you want me to do with the code? And he said, oh, hang on to it and give it away or something if you want. So, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So, if you stick around till the end of this video, you can find out how to get yourself, or potentially get yourself, a copy of this game to play on your own. So, little incentive to keep you guys here till the end. In addition, while I am going to take a look at the game, this video is also going to serve as a little bit of a think piece, maybe, on the state of online hardcore shooters right now. Because, well, we'll get into the reasons why later, but some interesting stuff has come out in the last couple of days that I thought worth discussing on that front. So I'll put a timestamp in the description below if you want to jump to that section, and it'll be obvious when we get there, so if you're not interested in me blabbing on more than I normally do, you can bail out then, alright? Okay, cool. So yeah, this comes to us from another Australian developer, actually, called TurboPixel Studios. And this is a game that is very clearly inspired by stuff like Quake 3 or the old Unreal Tournament games, which is something that appeals very much to me because I'm an old school player of those games and I actually do really enjoy that kind of fast-paced action. It's a very, very polished presentation, so it shows your friends list here, it'll show you who's playing the game, you can actually watch live matchmaking if you want. There's ladders for the competitive seasons, there's leaderboards, there's, actually I don't know if you can see this here, but there's a leaderboard on screen right now. This pops up the Steam web browser, which doesn't always record in every game, so not sure about that. It's got a full party system, it does have a progression, it's got very heavy, character customization, which, here we go here. So you can, it shows statistics with graphs and stuff. It shows all kinds of there's all kinds of little awards you can get for achieving certain objectives in different maps. It's got, yeah, you can change all this stuff. It's got a whole bunch of different character items you can get, including additional ones that you can buy in the store. This game does cost $10 to buy. It's not free to play, but there is cosmetic stuff you can also choose to buy if you want. And the options menu is insane. So this will run at 144 Hertz if you've got that kind of monitor. I do. You're obviously only watching at 60 right now. Very customizable graphics options, additional stuff here, including a field of view slider. You can rebind all your keys, of course, and look at this. This is the mouse menu, so you can just adjust your sensitivity if you want to, but look at this. You can change the input frequency, you can change the acceleration, like, I don't even know what half of this stuff is. It's nuts, and it's got this little graph here that monitors your mouse input so that you can see your stuff. I've never seen another game do this. This is absolutely bonkers, and pretty amazing, frankly. It's also got, so these are the different in-game HUD widgets. You can turn stuff off. If you're one of those people who wants to play hyper-competitive and just wants to turn all the HUD off and go, you can do that if you want. You can turn all sorts of things on and off. It's absolutely crazy. Oh yeah, and in addition, yeah, for example, the crosshair, look at this. You can change what the frag messages say. You can change, like, all of these different HUD elements. You can scale them, you can change their offset, you can change their positioning. It's nuts! What you can do with this. I've never seen a game with this level of customizability before. It is for the person who not only likes to play a hardcore shooter, but likes to get into files and hack and tweak stuff, and they just added all this stuff right into the menu. Absolutely amazing. And there's also a ton of add-ons. This game has full Steam Workshop support, with a whole bunch of different mods and maps. If you join a server that has maps from Steam Workshop, the game will just reach out and download it. It only takes a few seconds to download maps. It will integrate different player models and stuff that people have done. It's crazy. Like, look at this. Hidden indicator. Widget will draw a small red circle in the center of the screen when taking damage. Like, you can completely modify the ever-loving crap out of this, and there's 123 different add-ons here, and these are just for the HUD. Like I said, crazy stuff. So, Alright, so what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to jump into the training level just to give you an idea of what all the different guns and stuff looks like, because this is an easy way to showcase that. So, here we go. Now, this game does not necessarily look AAA, but it does look very nice. It's got this sort of cartoony, flat-colored, shaded look. But I actually like it. I think it looks very good. It again, clearly draws its inspiration from the old Quake and UT games. Everything's very colorful. Everything pops, you know, everything that's important. You know, it's very obvious to tell what's what based on the colorization. This is a game that's designed to allow you to understand what things are and what impact they'll have on the go. So you don't need to pause and go, what does this do again? I'm not sure. It's supposed to allow you to be able to quickly identify things at a glance when you're in motion, and you will and should be in motion very much in this game, pretty much at all times if you want to have a hope of surviving. So you're seeing the different weapons here. So these are very old school staples, right? You got your shotgun, you got your pistol, which is more of an energy thing. You got a rapid fire sort of plasma energy weapon here. There we go. So we're going to go over here. We'll show you the next batch. There is, I mean, of course, there's a rocket launcher. And, of course, in proper old school fashion, you can rocket jump. I mean, it wouldn't be a proper first-person shooter if you couldn't rocket jump, right? So here's your, like, continuous energy weapon that has a very narrow area of effect, requires precision aiming, but when you do it, it does incredible damage. And this is the sort of railgun equivalent here. So this has a very low rate of fire. I'm refiring this as fast as it'll go. And again, requires a precise shot, but you can see there it's doing 80 damage. Uh-oh, I ran out of ammo. So you can see there it's doing 80 damage. So if you hit a fool with that, they getting screwed, right? Alright, and that's the end of that one, but what I'll show you here is, so you can, this game will actually, it does have the full training mode, these training modes are very quick, but, so there's a whole bunch of additional things here. So you can rocket jump, as I said, which this will actually tutorialize you in. You can, if you jump precisely on certain surfaces, there is sort of a double scaling jump, which I'll show you. So, of course, you can duck. There's rarely cause to duck in the main game, to be honest with you, but you can jump and duck like that. You can, so you can sort of jump and crouch while in midair to get into smaller gaps in the wall. Each of these training levels has these 3 sort of additional medals in them you can get if you want. You don't have to, though. This game actually does not have, just so you know, and this is apparently by design, this game does not have Steam achievements. There are no achievements in this at all. So to perform a rocket jump, look down plus jump plus fire. So you jump, you shoot the rocket, you jump up high. So people who aren't familiar with old school shooters, that back in the Quake era in particular was a very popular thing. The idea was that you use the rocket to help accelerate you to a higher position in the air. You took more damage by doing that, or rather you took damage by doing that, but it was often worth it to get you into the position you want, which could give you a significant advantage on your enemies, right? So this is the last training mode that gives you an opportunity. It's like a little training course that's supposed to hone everything it teaches you. So the training's very quick. It doesn't take very long, but it gives you the fundamentals you need to get in and start playing. So, which is kind of cool. So you can also do, let's see, there also are bot matches in this. Bots are a relatively new addition. The AI is, I mean, it ain't esports, but it's not bad, you know, it's a good way to get some practice. So, you can either do a bot match with duel, which is a one-on-one mode, doubles, which is a two-on-two mode, and FFA, which is free-for-all, so you can do that. You see there's also community videos in here that gives you a little bit of explanation, including the game's level editor, because this is a title that very much thrives on community-generated content, and there are actually a lot of maps for this. It's actually pretty cool. So here we go. So we're starting in this map. We're in the warm-up right here, which means you can run around and see what the map is like, but nothing you do here counts against the actual final score of the game. So these are computer-controlled opponents. These are not humans. gives you an opportunity to practice. They're not the smartest bots in the world, but let me put it this way. The couple of times I've played this, I did not win. So we'll just put it that way. They're not pushovers for sure, and they play like humans do to a certain degree, or rather how the game expects you to play, which is that they're constantly on the move. They never sit still. They're always in motion. They're picking up everything they can get their hands on so that they can try to get the leg up on you. But games like this sort of older school... Oh, you buggers. Oh, there's one. All right. So these older school hardcore shooters, the idea behind them was that they were designed to be very quick, what's called the time to kill, which is the time between when you spawn to when you kill somebody or die, is very, very low. You respawn super quick because it expects you to go, go, go. You will die a lot, and if you're good, you'll kill a lot as well. I have no ammo. And they're very high scoring games. It's not a game where you turtle and sit still. You know, this is not like a lot of modern shooters where you sit in a corner and snipe for the entire match. There's no such thing as that here. In fact, back in the day, playing games like Quake and Doom multiplayer and things like that, considered sitting still and finding a little spot to hide in the corner was called camping, and it was actually considered rather taboo. You would tend to get a lot of trash talk in the chat for camping. That was considered the very cheap, weak sauce way to play these games. So there we go. And you see it gives you that little dopamine shot because you kill somebody and you get the ding and it pops the thing up. You're like, yeah, I got somebody. That's awesome. So, and when you press tab, it brings up the scoreboard here, and it shows this does the scoreboard a little differently than most games, in that it shows your statistics in depth on the left side. This is another game like Reflex, the last game I covered, that loves its statistics, and I love statistics too. Like, you can actually see my distance traveled by going up there, because it's actually, it breaks that stuff down. And then it shows the score breakdown on the left side. In the top there, it shows how much time is left in the match, and one thing that's neat is it actually shows the score spread. So I'm actually currently leading, which is neat. I don't know what Fun Police is. I'm currently leading, and I'm leading by a score of 2. So if I start losing, that score will go negative, and it will show you how far you need to go to get back to the top. These games, there's only one victor in the match. Like in team games, there is one winning team, but in a free-for-all like this, there is no prize for second place. It's you won the match, or you were a loser like literally everyone else. The goal is to score the highest, and that's it. It's a very simplistic concept. It's a very easy thing to understand, and that's what's so neat about these. These games are very simple to understand, but very hard to master. This actually has a leg up on a lot of old school shooters in the fact that it doesn't really have it has a progression system. It has a like a leveling up system, and it has little experience bonuses and things like that for playing every day or getting your first victory of the day, things like that. That's even further than most old school shooters went. The way these games worked back in the day was that they were you got everything from the start. You got every gun. There was no customization for the guns. You know, there wasn't any special, you didn't unlock different stocks or different barrels or different ammo types or anything like that. It was, you got everything from the get-go, and the most skilled players were the victors. The most skilled players were the people who came out on top and won the matches, and that's the way it worked. They were very, very simple to understand. You could start one of these games and within 10 minutes understand how everything worked and what the benefit was to everything. So what I picked up there, I believe, is a quad damage power-up, which literally, while you have it, does more damage to you. I believe Fun Police is actually killing somebody who has that, because it's very hard to do that. That's even the Quake-style noise for quad damage, which I'm wondering how they're getting away with that, with how sue-happy Bethesda is. But yeah, that is literally the quad damage noise from the old Quake games. So. And that's what's really cool. You can learn how this game works and everything about its systems and scoring mechanics and everything within just a few minutes. You want to master that, that's a whole other ball of wax. That's going to take you hours and hours and hours of play to get good at. Indeed, I played these games for I don't know how many hours when I was younger. I was never even remotely close to competition grade. Like, the people who are exceptionally good at these games live in a different plane of existence than me. I was never that good. And you know, it's interesting because one of the things they say, especially about people who are into esports and that, one of the reasons a lot of esports players end up retiring at a very young age is because as you get older, hey, I actually won that, sweet. And I leveled up. All right. So you get score for completing a match, and there's bonuses for during the day and things like that. Each level you can vote on whether you like it or not. You can favorite it if you like. You can even subscribe to different level creators, which I think is a really cool concept. I really like that. In addition, there's also what's called mutators. So mutators were basically variants on the rules of the maps. So you can see these here. And the neat thing is you can vote to add mutators in any multiplayer match as well. So you can just say, hey, I'd like to do this. People can vote on it and it changes it. The nice thing is when you're playing with, so here, bolt kill. One-shot kills. The nice thing is when you're playing with the AI like this, they'll always go along with whatever you choose to vote for, which gives you an option to play around with them. This is a neat concept, but I really like the fact that it allows you to do this on the fly in any multiplayer match, whereas in the older games, mutators were a common thing, but you usually had to have servers that were specifically designed around that idea. So I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, the idea with these games is that they are very easy to pick up and understand, but incredibly hard to get good at. And that's what was what was sort of hardcore about them back in the day. But in addition to that, they were also very, very fast, and you really had to pay attention to them. You know, time to kill. The maps were small. Time to kill was very quick. You had to really sort of knuckle down and pay attention to these things. And I like what they've done here. The inspirations for Reflex Arena are clearly worn not so much on their sleeve as they are just wearing a t-shirt that says, hey, this is Quake. But that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a very nice package they put together here. While it doesn't look state-of-the-art, it does look very nice. It's very colorful. Everything is clearly delineated. I mean, the reason, as I said before, the reason why everything is colored the way it is so that you can see it at a glance while you're running and know what it is. You don't have to pause and go, what is that thing? It's not all gray and brown, you know? And I think that's definitely a good thing. Well, that guy just wasn't moving. So I really like that. The Steam Workshop support integration is absolutely fantastic. There is a ton of content out there for this in terms of mods, in terms of player stuff, in terms of rule variants, things like that. It's all seamlessly integrated into the game. A lot of games that have Steam Workshop support kind of require you to back out and go into the Steam client or a web browser, find the stuff that you think is cool, press the subscribe button, rerun the game, and then it comes in and populates. Not this one. This game, you just start it, and you go to a server that has custom content. It just goes, oh, hey, let me go get that for you. And it downloads really quick, and it's just plugged right in. It's seamless, and I think that's very smart and very critical indeed, because you need to make it as simple as possible for people to get that custom content, because if it involves going and manually downloading stuff and adding it in, PC gamers used to be big into mods and stuff like that, and because, frankly, in the early days of PC gaming, it was all enthusiasts. It was all people who understood computers very well and didn't mind modifying configuration files and downloading custom things that had to go in special folders and running games with special launchers and everything to get mods. I mean, that's how stuff like Counter-Strike got popular. That's how a lot of the bigger variants in Quake got popular, things like that. But in this day and age, people want accessibility. People don't want to have to spend hours figuring out how to get something working. They want to press a button and go. As PC gaming has gotten more popular, that is sort of a natural outcome of that. And indeed, you know, I've been into computers my whole life. I work in IT. I live and breathe this kind of stuff. I'm older now. I'm almost 38 years old, and I'm just kind of like, you know what? If I could click a button and go, I'd kind of prefer that. Not that I mind putting in the effort when the outcome is good sometimes, but still, sometimes if you come home after a long day at work, you just want to hit a button and play a game, right? And they made that work, and they captured everything that's cool about the old school shooter, and they added in a couple of little modern things. Yeah, there's a progression system, though it doesn't really mean anything, because as far as I can tell, it doesn't unlock anything. But it has that, and it can show how much time you've put into the game and how good you are at it. You know, it kept the old school gameplay, but they integrated the Steam Workshop, which made it very simple. You know, they kept the speed, but they also made it a game that, while it looks decent, also is basic enough that it can run on a lot of different computers. You know, I'm playing on a high-end machine here. This game doesn't require a high-end machine if you don't want it to. But if you've got a high-end machine, you can do things like, you know, I could probably down-res this game from 4K if I wanted. It runs at 144 hertz, which I have a monitor that can do that, so that's very nice. It makes the gameplay extra smooth, extra responsive, which is, and you know, hyper good response is what you want in a game like this. That's obviously very, very good as well. So they did just enough with the old school, but keeping the old school design methodology and marrying it to modern technological advancements that I think that it's a very good marriage. And I think it's a great idea. It's a good way to build a community of not only players, but creators, content creators, which is what's going to help these games keep strong. I mean, Epic Games is trying to reboot Unreal Tournament with an interesting model where the game is actually completely free, but what they're hoping will make money on it is by players paying for player-created content. So additional levels, additional modes, cosmetic stuff, which will then in turn be shared with the creators. And in addition to that, all those creators are literally making that stuff in the Unreal Engine editing tools, so they're hoping that maybe they can inspire a few new game developers who will, of course, use Unreal Engine. It's an interesting concept. That game has been in alpha forever because, well, as is the case with Epic these days, they are less concerned with getting games out in any kind of reasonable timeline than keeping them in alpha forever and, well, having their CEO go on uninformed hypocritical rants about Windows, but that's something else. But they're trying a bit of a different approach to this, whereas this game is not free. It's $10 US. Not very expensive, but it's also not free. And it does have, but the majority of the content that comes out for it is free. There is paid content available, I believe all of which is official content from TurboPixel. It's not user-created stuff. So that's a bit of a thing. I don't know if you can, as a Steam creator, sell your own stuff and get a cut of it like you can with Epic. Maybe you can. I'm not sure about that. Steam does have that functionality. That's how Dota 2 and Counter-Strike work. Wow, I totally wrecked that guy. Oh, man. So, yeah, that's something to, that is potentially something to consider, but overall, I mean, the package of this thing is just polished as all hell. I really like the interface, I really like the social integration, I like the, you know, the integrated leaderboards, you can even view the changelog right from the menu if you want. There are a number of different modes in this, as you can see. There's free-for-all, there's insta-gib, which is the sort of one-shot kill mode. There's arena, there's capture the flag, there's duel, there's doubles. You know, there's a lot of stuff in here, and probably more could be coming later on if you wanted to. What's turbo queue? We'll find you a match quicker by matching you with higher-ranked opponents. Okay. So, and also what you can do in this, another modern thing that they made, is you can quick play, which is to say matchmaking. But if you want a server browser... Oh, you got that server browser? Yeah, you do. This is an old school thing. So, yeah, and you can host a game, of course, if you like as well, and just add that stuff right in there. You can set your maximum clients, you can password it, you can do all that stuff. But if you just want to get into a game, you can just hit start, and it will try to matchmake you. And if you put turbo queue, that just means that it will match you with higher level players that may be better at the game than you, but it will also get you into a match quicker, which is a neat little thing. So yeah, overall, I really like the design of this. I think they've clearly made something that is designed to cater to the hardcore PC player. Just stuff like, as soon as I saw what you can do with the mouse settings and the widgets, I was like, oh yeah, this game is not casual. This thing is all about people who want to tweak to the finest precision. And I love that. I think that's great. This is a game made for PC players through and through, and hardcore old school PC players through and through. That's really neat. But we have a bigger problem, and that's what we're going to get to in the second part. So, I am going to pause for a moment and come back because I just realized I left my cloud backup seating, which is going to completely ruin my ping times. So, give me 2 seconds and we'll come back with the second part where I'll show you some live multiplayer and talk about the biggest problem this game has. Okay, and we're back. So, I stopped my cloud backup and now my pings have gotten much better, which is a good thing. So here's the biggest problem right now with this game. This is out of early access. It's been out for quite a while, and in early access, and it just came out of it. So it's an official release now. It's been getting the extra promotion. There's a PR company involved, etc., etc. Here's the biggest problem. You see any full servers in here? Yeah. This game has a pretty abysmal player count right now, and It's really unfortunate, and it's a symptom of most, not just indie shooters right now, or indie multiplayer-focused games, but indeed of most hardcore shooters like this. At time of recording, this game has only about 180 people actually playing it as of this moment, and that's people running the game. That's not necessarily people in multiplayer matches. The majority of the modes right now are either 1v1 or 2v2, because those are the modes that can match you up with a small player count. There's also this race mode, which is not really a combat thing. They're platforming challenges that are based on time. Not really my cup of tea. You're also going to see that the majority of the servers that do have player populations are in Europe, where the ping times are terrible. Games that move this fast require a very low ping time. A ping time of like plus or minus 50 ms can mean the difference between life and death. So yeah, not great. And also, because this is a 2v2 mode right now and there's 4 people in it, if I join this, I'm gonna get stuck spectating until the next race. So let's go check it out and see what happens here. So there we go. Yep, so I'm spectating. So I'm just following these guys around here, but at least you guys can see something that's going on. So this is 2v2. As you can see, there's 2 blue players, 2 red players. It's kill the opposing team, and whoever gets to the end wins. So this is a big problem. There's not many people playing this right now. And most of the people who are left are people who are very, very good at it. The few times I have played this, I managed to find matches and play this online when doing my research. I've gotten my ass handed to me wholeheartedly. Because the players are either players who haven't been playing very long but are better at this type of thing than I am, because frankly I'm not that great at multiplayer shooters, or they're people who put in a ton of time and are esports grade, basically. It's weird because I've seen, when I first got this game in wherever I got it from, a bundle or whatever, I remember playing it as well, and this was back when it was in early access, and I uninstalled it fairly quick because I was like, well, there's friggin' nobody here, so a multiplayer game with no people in it ain't that fun. There also wasn't bots at the time either. And I remember when this came out, there was a post about its launch on Reddit, and there was a bunch of people in the comments going, oh yeah, this game is great, I have 500 hours in it, I have 700 hours in it. Those are things people actually said. You know, people say, I have hundreds and hundreds of hours in this, and it is such a good time, people should go out and buy it. And I'm like, how? How have you been able to play this for that long with any decent number of people? And I mean, who knows? I didn't really check into those accounts. They could have been shill accounts. I'm not going to speculate on that. That has been known to happen before. People creating Reddit accounts to basically come in and spam how awesome a product is when it's not. I'm not going to accuse anyone of being untoward. It may be very possible that they did. I haven't followed this game through its whole development. But at the same time, I was like, I don't understand that, but okay. But the problem is now, even at release, this game has almost nobody playing it. I have never, in my entire time researching this, I have never managed to not only find a full server, I have never found a server more than 50% full. The biggest match I ever found was 8 players, and that was 1 match. That's it. And it's a symptom of the kind of core problem with this, because in the last few years, there have been several of these, what they call competitive arena hardcore shooters that are coming out, that are designed specifically to appeal to old school players who think that modern day first-person shooters have gotten either too casual, have gotten too slow, or have focused a lot more on unlocks and stuff like that, and less about raw gameplay. That is a sentiment I most certainly share. As someone who was never really that good at Quake or Doom or multiplayer like that, but enjoyed the hell out of it, and did put hundreds of hours into it back in the day, that's something I would really love to see more of. Like, I love what this game has going for it. I think it plays great. I think it runs really well. I think it's very optimized. I like, look at what these guys are doing with these rockets. I love this stuff. I think it's great. And while I enjoy my fair share of modern multiplayer games as well, you know, I like Battlefield 1. I like Titanfall 2. I like Rainbow Six Siege. I like a lot of games like that. I think they are very good, high quality productions and have their place. I like this type of hardcore, fast-paced game as well, and I really would like to play more of that. But nobody's playing these. There are about 200 people online right now playing this. There are a couple of other well-known, considered high-quality variants in this genre that are out right now, like Toxic. Toxic, which, by the way, recently, well, not recently, about a year ago, I think, released a free version. It's not just paid like this one is. They actually released a free version of their game. Has 27 players at time of recording. Quake Live, which admittedly has been out a long time, but Quake Live, which is an id Software developed version of old school Quake 3 multiplayer with a whole bunch of added features and capabilities, has 764 players right now. Now that may not seem too bad until you look at the fact and see that right now Battlefield 1, just on PC, has 44,676 people playing it. That's not including the consoles. Rainbow Six Siege, which is a game that had an absolutely disastrous launch and had a plummeting player population until Ubisoft managed to kind of bring it back, but is right now having a ton of server problems and has a kind of pissed off community, has 37,551 people playing it. Titanfall 2, which has had its population completely tank, just like the first game did, has, in an average game mode, can still has 300 to 400 concurrent players per game, like in one game mode. This entire game has 200 people playing it just after it came out. And a lot of the other ones have worse than that. There are other ones as well, like Xenotic and Warsaw, which have very small player populations, oftentimes about 100 or less. And apparently the last time I tried out the Unreal Tournament 2004 alpha, or 2014 alpha, that's out right now. I'm going to try to find something else here. Okay, here's a free-for-all, but only with 3 people in it. Even that has a tiny player population, which is, many speculate, is one of the reasons why development on it has slowed to a crawl, is because it was an experiment for Epic, and it's not working out that well. I mean, Epic Games seems to be a company to a certain degree in a state of flux right now because recent changes in how the business of engine licensing works have kind of upended their business model. But that's another story. And there just doesn't seem to be much of a community for these anymore. But the thing that's ridiculous is that a lot of people keep screaming that there is, even though they provide no evidence to the contrary. I read a rather interesting YouTube comment from Total Biscuit yesterday. So he was responding in the announcement, or in the latest trailer for Quake Champions, which is a new game in the sort of Quake universe that not id Software, I forget the developer, but another company is working on putting out. It's going to be free to play when it comes out. And they're turning Quake into kind of a hero shooter, so sort of like Overwatch or Paladins or something like that. A game very much based around character classes with special abilities in that. And ever since they announced that, a lot of the PC community has been screaming, oh my god, these bastards are ruining Quake. They're taking a classic old-school hardcore franchise and dumbing it down for casuals. And screw you, Bethesda, etc., etc. I don't want to play this. I wanted an old hardcore arena shooter, and we're not getting that. And Total Biscuit said, well, his comment said, if people actually wanted a, quote, pure arena shooter, they've had plenty of options over the past 5 years, and none of them got a player base. As much as people like to claim they're hardcore and want the pure arena shooter experience, they don't put their money where their mouth is. People love to whine and complain about the lack of arena shooters, and then they don't play any of the ones that are already there, which just makes me believe that people just want to show off their so-called hardcore skills in posts on forums rather than play an actual hardcore arena shooter. To paraphrase what he's saying, people want to brag about how big their e-penis is by talking about how great they are at hardcore shooters on message boards, but they won't actually step up and play any of them because either they get their ass kicked or they look at this and go, well, if I play Battlefield, I can level up and get a different, useless stock for my gun. Or if I play Siege a bunch, I can unlock skins for my gun. Whereas I play this game and I don't get anything. I get everything from the start. If there's nothing to unlock and no little dopamine kick from unlocking some other useless gun attachment, what's the point? And where therein lies the rub. Though many developers are trying their damnedest to revive this genre and give what people on the internet say they want, no one's stepping up for it. You know, no one's interested in playing games like this en masse. And I can't recommend anybody buy a game like Reflex Arena when there's only 200 people playing it and you can't find a full server. I can't recommend that people, like, Toxic has a paid version. I can't recommend people spend money on that either, because it's a game focused around multiplayer and you've got no one to play with. You know, if you could find a crew of friends to play this with regularly, or if you were someone, fortunately like me now, who regularly goes to LAN parties with a group of people, this might be worth playing just to play on, you know, on a local network with a group of people. But even so, you're not going to play that constantly. You're not going to put hundreds of hours into a game like this when you only have very small periods of time in which you can play it. If you're going to spend money on a competitive online game, you're going to want to play it regularly with a large group of people. And you're not going to have that option here. Am I still spectating, or did it actually add me to the match? No, I'm still listed as a spectator, and I'm not sure why it's doing this, because this is a free-for-all match, but I'm not in here, so I don't quite know what's happening. But yeah, therein lies the problem, is there's no population for these games, and nobody's playing them, and it's a catch-22, right? Because I can't, in good conscience, as someone who believes in helping consumers first, recommend that you go out and buy this game with the intent of playing it online, because you're not going to have the experience that the developers intended. At the same time, if nobody buys these games, of course this genre is not going to get the resurgence I really would like it to have, because, I mean, you know, if no one buys these games, no one plays them. If no one plays them, no one has an incentive to buy them. I mean, it is a chicken and egg thing. And maybe that comes down to the fact that games like this don't have the marketing budget of an EA or a Bethesda or a whoever. I still can't play this. All right, well, we're going to back out and find something else here. So, I'm not actually playing this, but at least this is actually showing you guys what this looks like. Let's go check out this race thing. So you see, this is just a race mode where there's no real combat. It's just the goal is to get around the track as fast as possible. Cool idea, but not necessarily what I'm into. So yeah, I don't know what the solution is for this. You know, maybe if one of these games could come out and had a big marketing budget like an EA or Bethesda would have, they could get the player population in, they could retain it, and they could get it going. Maybe, I don't know. This guy's like skiing. I don't know how he's doing this. So maybe that would be the case, but at the same time, we have Bethesda, who is working on Quake Champions. And what did they do? They took Quake and turned it into a hero shooter. Probably because they went, yeah, all the evidence shows us that if we made this like old school Quake, you know, like Quake Live was, and put a whole bunch of money behind it, no one would buy it. Because the thing with Quake Live, right, is when Quake Live first came out, it was free, back before free-to-play was a trendy thing, and it was ad-supported. And John Carmack is on record as having said that that game was not a moneymaker for id. It lost money for a long time, it eventually broke even, but it never actually was a profit generator. And then Bethesda reworked it, and now they're actually selling it on Steam, but they're selling it with a whole bunch of stuff, like you get a whole bunch of stuff unlocked and additional features and stuff. That kind of landed with a thud, and still nobody's playing it. So again, what's the solution? I don't know, but so you see, here's the sort of double jump thing where you see you've got these sort of angled surfaces here, and if you do that, there we go. So you get up there like that, right? Yeah, nobody's and that's the problem, is nobody's buying these, and it's a genre. It frustrates me because it's one of these things where people say they want it, but they don't really want it. They want to talk about how much they want it because it makes them feel like they're hardcore, and oh yeah, I'm a hardcore old school gamer because this is, you know, this is the This is the type of game I like. You know, I don't like these baby games like the Battlefields or the Call of Duties or everything else like that. And believe me, for all the faults that there is with Call of Duty, at least Call of Duty is at least Call of Duty is a faster game than a lot of these other ones. So you see there, this was a map from Steam Workshop. It just went and downloaded it, and away it went. It's pretty cool, right? So yeah, and it really frustrates me because I do like this. And you know what? As I said, I'm almost 38 years old. Even at my peak, I was never that great at these games. I'm certainly not great at them now that I'm older and my reflexes have dulled and whatnot. But I still enjoy these. I like the speed, I like the frenetic action of it, and I like the idea of being able to jump into a game and just have everything unlocked from the get-go, not worry about progression, not worry about leveling up, not worrying about all of these unlocks that you have in most games being incredibly boring because they're so terrified of balance and they're so terrified of people screaming about balance that at the end of the day, almost everything that you can unlock in a game like Battlefield is basically a side grade. You know, everything is so finely tuned because they don't want screams. They don't want people screaming, "Nerf this, it's OP," which of course happens anyway. But they don't want that kind of thing. So a lot of that stuff is just really boring. I like the idea of just jumping into a game that has everything unlocked and just go. But what frustrates me the most is the people who, yeah, just talk about wanting these things, and then when developers make them, they don't step up and buy them. You know, this game clearly was made with a lot of heart and a lot of love and a lot of understanding of what the genre is and what people want out of it. This game was in early access for forever, but it's super polished. It runs great. It's got tons. It's got all the variety you could ever want. You can make this game into almost anything you want it to be. And, you know, no one's here. No one came for Toxic. No one came for Warsaw. No one came for... It looks like no one's coming for the Unreal Tournament 4 Alpha either anymore. And I really hate it when people are so concerned about how big their e-penis is to people they've never met and never will meet that they will talk in numbers big enough about how they want something that it actually inspires developers to spend a bunch of money, time, and their potential livelihoods making it, and then they don't step up and buy it because it was all about just bragging on a forum rather than actually stepping up and paying for it and playing it. If what you guys want is more Battlefield and more Titanfall and more Call of Duty, that's fine. That's not, you know, I like a lot of those games. I mean, heck, I played tons and tons of Siege with friends of mine, and I still do. I like those kind of games, and I absolutely think they have their place. But let's not make any bones about this. Those are games designed by big companies that are designed by committee and that are designed to bring in as much money as possible. They are not built first and foremost for, you know, the love of the game, or in this case, you know, the love of speed and the love of variety. They're just not. And that doesn't mean they're bad. They're not bad, in fact. But this was done with a different mentality, and this was made for a different kind of reason. And as an old school player of these games, it's something I can very much appreciate. Yeah, I don't know. It's, I don't know how to solve this problem, but I feel like this genre or this subgenre of the first-person shooter might just be dead. And that makes me pretty sad because I really like this, but how many other people are going to take a crack at making an old-school hardcore shooter if so many of them have failed to attract an audience? I don't know. I feel like if the Bethesdas and the EAs and the whatnots of the world thought there was a good market for these, they'd already be making them. And they're not. The people who have the resources to make these games are not making them. So what does that say? Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what I don't really know what my ultimate point is with this. I think my point is just that it shows one of the things, you know, gamers in terms of as a genre of people is something I defend a lot, because I think they're unfairly maligned by a games press that's more concerned about stoking outrage for money than actually representing their audience and advocating for their audience. But there are things about gamers that I don't like, and one of those things is that gamers are great for saying they want something but not actually meaning it. You know, gamers say they want innovation, but they line up to buy the 19th sequel in the same AAA franchises over and over again. You know, gamers say they want hardcore first-person arena shooters like this, and then they don't, and they say it in large enough numbers that an indie team goes, yeah, you know what, that would be awesome, and this is clearly an underserved market. The AAA industry is failing these people. Let's make that. And then they make it, and no one shows up. And I can only imagine the guys at Turbo Pixel, I'm sure they'll never say it, but they must feel pretty disillusioned right now. And, you know, the fact is, the AAA industry has a lot of problems. Believe me, it has a lot of problems, but it's also very successful for a reason. And it's successful because they know how to make stuff that people, rather than make stuff people say they want, they make stuff people actually do want, and that people pay for with their money. Whether or not you like the stuff they make is kind of irrelevant, because they are making what people will step up with and buy. Like, it was like that thing a little while ago, a few years ago, when I believe it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on PC, said they were going to remove dedicated servers, and people went in open revolt and called for a boycott. And then there was an actual Steam group for that boycott, and the day Modern Warfare 2 launched, that group that said they were going to boycott it was full of people playing it, even though they did not acquiesce and make the changes to the game that they wanted. That says it all right there to me. Gamers, and I don't even know if it's gamers, it's probably just people in general, people are pretty damn hypocritical. People like to seem more hardcore than they are, even though it's completely meaningless. Like the games you like and support the games you like. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's no different than these people who, you know, virtue signal by saying how they like the latest hoity-toity arty walking simulator when they actually don't, because it makes them look more important and more artful and more enlightened to say that they like that game, even though they, in many cases, they don't. It's the same thing, except the other end of that spectrum. And, yeah, it bums me out. You know, I'm not going to be one of those people who says here and talks about the entitled gamers and gamers are dead because, you know, they won't step up and support this genre that I happen to really like. Things change. People's tastes change. And, you know, gamers are getting older, and gamers have less free time. They don't have hundreds of hours to get good at playing the same map over and over again. That subgroup of gamers is very tiny, and the ones that are left are mostly focusing on the things like Counter-Strike Go or certain titles like that have found a niche and are thriving in it, but that's a very small niche. And the time for this genre is probably just past. Which as I said, bums me out, but yeah, I also think that it's, I just wish people would get over their need to appear more elite than they are to people whose opinions shouldn't matter to you, and just say what they like, and say, yeah, I like Battlefield, I like Call of Duty, I want more of that. I don't care about this genre anymore, because I don't want to see developers like Turbo Pixel, who clearly have a lot of talent, wasting their time making games that no one's going to step up and play because people are obsessed with image over just supporting what they like. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but I would like to see this genre do well again, but I just don't know. I just don't know if it is, and I just wish people would stop pretending like it's what they want when it's clearly not what they want. So, yeah, it's too bad, because like I said, this is pretty cool, and I wish it could do better. But yeah, that is Reflex Arena, developed and published by Turbo Pixel Studios. It is now out on PC. It is $10 US on Steam. I don't recommend it to buy to play online. I can't, because there's no one playing it. I know the catch-22 of that, but, you know, that's not my problem to solve. I think this would be a very good thing to pick up if you have some friends you can play it with in a LAN party or something like that. Even if you could get a couple of hours out of it, $10 isn't that much. So if you could get a crew of people to buy it and enjoy it, that would be pretty cool. But that's about all I'd suggest at this point. So, yeah. And as, of course, I said, I do have a free copy of this to give away. You know, if you think you could thrive in the small population this has, that would be really, you know, that'd be great for you, I think. So, yeah, I do have a spare Steam key of this to give out. So if you watch this long-ass video till the end, leave a comment. Just tell me how you found this video, whether it's just because you're a regular subscriber or you tripped over it from somewhere else. Tell me how you found the video. And tell me just give me some feedback on what you think about this genre. Do you think this genre has a future? Do you think it's being plagued by people who are more talk than action? Do you think there's something the developers can do to resurrect this and maybe make it appeal to a more mainstream crowd who can give it the kind of community it deserves? I'd like to hear what you guys think, because I don't have a solution, but maybe somebody else out there does. So leave a comment with that, and of the ones that do, I will pick one at random, and I will I will send you the Steam key via probably YouTube private message, so pay attention to that. And yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, cool game. Can't really recommend you buy it unless you have a very niche use case for it. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked what you saw here, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That does help me out a great deal. If you want to watch something else, check out the videos on screen now, and don't forget to follow @PXA Media on Twitter to find out about new stuff first.